Okay, welcome back to Never Too Old Garage. We have some good news. We got our front suspension in from iMore. So what I'm going to do today, the chassis is painted. I was waiting for this. It's beautiful setup. It's got coilovers on the front. It's got drop spindles, so that'll allow me to drop the ride height, but I can also then adjust using the front coilovers to adjust it up and down. So rather than having this sit on the floor, I'm going to go ahead and mount this today, get it set up so that it's not taking up any space. So that'll be the first thing that I do. The other thing that I started to do was to cut out this piece over here that's all rusted, pitted and rusted. So I could not find this front cowl anywhere. So I'm going to have to fabricate this piece. I had started to do it the other day, but the sheet metal was too thick, so it was taking forever. But I also was watching a video this morning on how to do this kind of custom embossing, and there's a pretty easy way to do it. So I've cut out the pattern right there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a form, a jig between, so I'm going to cut out that pattern on a piece of plywood, actually 2 pieces of plywood, and then I cut my sheet metal and I sandwich that between, and then I can use that to pound the shape in, and it'll keep the edges from crinkling. So I can basically emboss it by hand. So the problem is this is 20-inch sheet metal, and what they sent me was 18 or 20 gauge. Sorry, not 20-inch, 20 gauge sheet metal. What they sent me was 18, and the 18 is just too thick. Plus, it's not going to look good because it's going to be a thicker piece in here. So I'm waiting for the 20 to come in. It was supposed to be in last week. Now it's telling me that it's not going to be for another 4 days. So I may just get the jig created today if I have time after I put that on, and then that way I can build it. I also did order and get a slip roller because there is a bit of a curve here. As you can see, it starts to curve up. So I'm going to have to roll the sheet metal. I'm going to have to roll it to get that shape so that it starts to go, it's flat here, and then it starts to curve up. So that slip roller will be handy for that. So I'll probably, again, build the jig, depending on how long it takes me to get the front suspension on this, and then that can be my first piece to cut out. The other thing that I started the other day was to start to prime the doors. So I do have a little bit of a low spot. I don't know if it was a dent or whatever, but you can feel it and almost see it here. So I'm going to have to planish this out to get that flush and straight. But I did start to prime the inside of the door so that I could at least get things ready for paint. So what I want to do is get these doors and the front deck lid all primed, and then I can set those off in the other room so that they're not in the way. But that's little stuff that I can do while I'm waiting on the 20 gauge steel. All of this is actually 20 gauge. The outer skin is 20 gauge. These inner fenders are actually thicker. So my 18 gauge will work for these inner fenders, but it's not going to work for the outer skin stuff, and that cowl piece is a lot thinner. So I'll wait for that. But what I'll do right now is I'm going to move the body over a little bit so I can get to the chassis. I'll take my front suspension, jack it up so that I'm not having to lift it up. And then I can bolt it to this front, and then that way it's out of the way. I did notice somebody had bought one of these, and I think I have to notch this right about here. I need to see when I get it up here, but I think I actually have to notch this out. These things come off. Notch that out so that it'll come to about here. I want to say it comes to about here. and then it bolts into these 4 holes and bolts in here, and then it'll be solid. But I'm excited about that front suspension piece. I was just looking online to get my wheels and tires. It comes with drop spindles. It comes with the steering box and the tie rods. So the nice thing is it pretty much comes with everything I need other than the hubs, the wheels, and the tires. So I've got those kind of sitting in my wish list. I can also then, once I get that piece, I can go ahead and then put my my independent rear suspension back on and lower that so that I can get a bit lower ride height. And again, the nice thing about those, and it has coilovers on the back, so the nice thing about the coilovers is I can drop it down as far as I want, and then I can start raising it with the coilovers to get it to the right ride height. So anyway, that's what we've got on store for today. I'm going to start making some room here, and then get that front suspension bolted on, make the cuts that I have to make, and hopefully get that done fairly quickly. Then I'll probably start with the doors, get those planished and painted, get all 3 of those, and that may be today and tomorrow. And then lastly, probably get that jig built so that when the metal comes in, I can emboss it the way I want. So that's where we're going to start. Okay, so as I was mentioning, I'm going to have to notch this. I just stuck the bolts in for now, so that has to be notched before it'll drop in properly. So I've got to measure, and these things have to come off because we're going to prevent the lower control arms from coming all the way back. So what I'm going to do is basically draw a line where I can cut to notch this, and then I'll get my angle grinder out and notch it. Hopefully this red pin will show up on this dark paint. Well, more or less, yeah, I can see it. Probably need to get a white marker for things like this, just to have it. If I cut to the inside of that line, or actually it doesn't really matter. Cut there, and then square it off and cut here. So that's the line there that I got to cut on that side, and then I'll do the same thing over here. Yeah, I definitely need a white or a silver Sharpie. I can see it, but it's not great. And then there. All right, so if I cut there, that should allow me to drop it in. And then what's interesting is they've got these things here, but this piece butts out. So I'm going to have to probably read. I need to notch it anyway, so I'll notch it. But I need to read and see what to do with these, because there's a piece that kind of bulges out, and that's going to prevent these from going in all the way, sitting flush. So I don't know. And it's kind of interesting. They've got these almost cut out, not all the way, and then there was a plate on the back, but there's a weld there. So I don't know if these are like, if they're meant for a different style, but I don't know whether to cut these out so that this can come out and sit flush, or to cut those. I'm thinking it's probably better to cut those so that this thing can sit all the way flush to here, because otherwise there's going to be spacing between these bolts, and that's not good. You need them all the way flush. So we'll figure that out here in just a second. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off and get the angle grinder and start cutting up the chassis. This is a little nerve-wracking because you never know. Oh, no wonder it doesn't come off. I got the bolts in. It's like, why is it coming off? There's my lines. I'll cut there and there, notch it. And then, yeah, I got to figure out what to do about these things here. I need to read and see, because that's going to prevent, these are going to prevent the plate from going all the way here. So I don't know if I just cut them flat. I'm going to think that's probably the best thing to do, is just grind them all the way flat. That way it'll sit flush. Because otherwise, I don't know, I'm going to have about that much space. That bolt's not going to go all the way in. They didn't give me any spacers. They gave me washers, but for the outside. So I think the only thing to do is to basically cut these little channels or whatever out. It's solid here, so I can't even feel like what there is behind there. But I'm thinking that this must be just a little bit different style. That's okay. I'd rather cut it and make it fit proper, because otherwise it's not gonna suck up all the way to that, and then it's gonna get loose. That needs to be bolted on good. But anyway, I got to cut these anyway, so we'll cut these notches out. Yeah, I can see it actually marked pretty well. I can pretty much see the mark, but I'm gonna have to cut these out. Probably use the angle grinder I have more control with, but I'm probably gonna need my reciprocating saw for here. Otherwise, or probably just cut this off so I can get the angle grinder in there. That'll be easier. So cut these off, cut my notches, cut these down and grind them down flat so that this will go all the way in. I think that's about the only way that's going to work. So, but I'm going to get online and see first about these things here, because it does look like, it's almost like you could take those out, but they're welded on the other side. I'd have to cut all those welds, and this would allow this to protrude through. But I don't know, having this protrude through versus cutting it flat, I don't think it's going to matter. To me, it'd be easier and better to just cut this all the way down. There is the back of those plates that I took off. Oh, they're down here. These were on the other side, so I'm not sure if maybe you're supposed to put these inside and then it mounts up, because these are threaded. So again, I need to read, but I think that was made for a little bit different style. I mean, these actually, line up, no problem. Everything else lines up. And I did see somebody put one of these in once, and they had to do the same thing. They had to notch this. They had to notch this out. So not a problem notching it. So we'll notch it and go from there. Okay, so we got it in. It actually wasn't that hard. I'm really impressed with the craftsmanship, the engineering and the craftsmanship. There were no instructions, but I did see a guy on YouTube that had put one on, so I followed a little bit of his instructions. I did have to cut a little bit more here because there was a ridge that would push this up and then this wouldn't be level. So I cut that back a little bit so it would ride level. But it's pretty level, I think. And of course, I don't know how level this thing is, but that's level. And then this way I used with this level and we are good. So we are nice and level. It's fairly tight, but before we put tires on it, you know, when I get I need to get the hubs. I can probably use the front hubs. I'll have to see. The rear hubs, the drums, I won't be able to use, but the front hubs, I should be able to see, put it all together. I found some rims and tires that I like today, so I can get those on order. But I can also then start to do the back. So this is actually coming together very nicely. I'm very, very happy with this. It just, yeah, it's they did a really good job. Like I said, it's great engineering. So hopefully it will perform the way we want. I can still adjust these coilovers. These will go up quite a bit still. Oh, it's going the wrong way. Anyway, I can adjust these up. There we go. I can adjust these up still. I don't know how that one, I guess, yeah, there we go. So it's nice, they actually came with their own coilovers. So I'm more coilovers. You know, I don't know how good they are, but it's certainly going to be better than what was on there before. So it's going to give it a lot better stability on the front end. It's going to give us a drop, be able to lower the tires, and we should be good to go. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and clean up, set this to the side, and then probably start working on the doors. But I wanted to get this on and out of the way. Again, I'll probably end up adjusting it a little bit more. You know, there may be some more adjustment I can do to this. I'd like to try to get it down just a hair more. This ideally should be touching the tunnel. Actually, it is. It's touching right there. Okay, so we're good. But they do say, and I saw both on the video and I saw one that the factory did, but I'm going to have to basically weld it here and here. That's going to give it a little bit more stability this way. So I'll slap a weld here and here, get it nice and tight in there. But I want to make sure I get it all, you know, ride height and everything the way that I want before I weld. So get it all perfectly in. But it actually fits really well. I mean, I just was, again, really surprised, pleasantly surprised with how easy it was to put in and how well made it is. So again, that has to be tightened up. These steering knuckles have to be tightened up, but that's just, you know, tightening bolts. So with that, we'll go ahead and clean up, and then I'll start working on the doors.